Okay. So, Marc, glad to meet you.
Thank you.
Please, because you started with something which is quite unique, at least looks like, and you are coming in an overcrowded market of informations about different kind of expos all around. First of all, please tell us who you are and what is your experience in this business of watch exhibitions, if you have.
Okay. Well, very quickly, I'm French. I have been living in Switzerland for 36 years. I started in the advertising business. I was studying in the States, and I got my first job in the States in an advertising agency. And I was transferred here in Switzerland in the local affiliate. And after 2 years, I decided that to resign and remain in Switzerland. And I got another job in another international network of agencies called Saatchi and Saatchi. You may have heard. And then 8 years later, I started my own company with a partner, which lasted 15 years. And now I've been a consultant for almost 10 now. And I have little of experience in the watch making business. We were the agency for Montblanc for some time. And and in the course of your social life in Switzerland, being Switzerland, it's a small country. You get to know a lot of people. So I have a few friends in the watch making industry. And even though I'm not directly from the industry, I know a lot of the industry, and I certainly know how to map the different brands next to each other. And I met my partner because he was working in media. And so he was a regular visitor in my agency, and we became friends. He's a sailor, me too. So he loves sailing. And so, then when he launched his event business, he first specialized in the nautical world. So he has quite a track record in that area. So he's been organizing nautical events for 10 years. And I was a very small consultant to him, mostly on the marketing part and how to make sense of all the different events which were regrouped under one main umbrella. So that's how we got to work together. And then we started thinking about launching a new watch event when because of the end of Basel World, really, in March of 2020, when the Haute Horlogerie decided to regroup in Geneva, when Rolex, Patek, Chopard, Chanel, and Tudor decided to leave Basel World and to join what was at the time the SIHH and had become Watches and Wonders. And of course, there was quite an earthquake in the market, and Basel World decided to, and because of the COVID as well, also, I mean, it was a main factor. And so when we realized that the top players were going to regroup in Geneva, we realized that there was going to be a market gap for all the, not the second tier, but all the independent mechanical brands who were not going to be accepted at Watches and Wonders. And we realized that there was an opportunity there to do something. So that's how we came up with the idea of, we didn't have the name yet, the brand name yet at the time, but the first concept was that one. And I can't tell you more about it, but I'll let you ask questions, obviously.
Thank you. Anyway, your speech is in the right direction, so I actually will continue to ask about that. One question, which is obviously you started to describe, but if you can get more in details, how you position the time to watches versus Watch and Wonders, one thing, but also versus Basel, where, as you know, they are still claiming to do the exhibition. And even more, how you position time to watches versus Geneva Watch Days.
Okay.
A part of being a different timing, because obviously Geneva Watch Days is in the end of August. You will be almost, I mean, overlapping Watch and Honors. It's another question. Now, tell me about the positioning. What do you mean? Also, you mentioned that it's not second tier, it's about independent creative companies. So can you go more in details?
Okay. So when we had the idea, my partner and I, to put together a new event concept, we went to see my network of friends and insiders who are in the watch industry right now, and we wanted to understand why Baselworld had generated so much praise on one side and so much criticism on the other, and there were people were very opinionated about Basel. You know, everyone had an opinion. So it was a very emotional relationship with Basel. So we tried to understand that, and we spoke to a few people, and we understood quickly, which was probably obvious to you guys in the trade media, that the era of one single gigantic fair, which was covering all the price points and covering all the industries, from the watchmakers to the suppliers to that business. This gigantic fair was not going to survive because it was too expensive for a lot of people. It was not exclusive enough for the top 35 brands. That's why they have been leaving one by one over a course of 30 years. So we realized that we had to come up with a new concept, and that concept, to make it short, in a way, it's very much the Dubai Watch Week concept. It's like one single booth concept, the same one for everyone, no matter the size, and of course with the ability to customize it, but basically everyone pays the same price. The basic package is the same for everyone. So that's something. And we had, at the time, we had not been at Dubai, so we had no idea. But it came, and it's. I'm not trying to recreate the history here, but we came up with that. So one single booth concept for everyone in different sizes, of course, and with the ability for each brand to customize it, to recreate his brand history. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we wanted to deconfine and to open the event to a public of some kind. Okay, we didn't want to be so drastic into designing borders between the B2B world and the B2C world. We wanted to open the gates in a way. Okay, but we had to do it carefully. So I'll tell you more about it in a second. And the third thing is that we wanted to be not a marketplace, but an exchange content place. We wanted to, we're spending a lot of energy on the cultural program, and we want to build bridges between the academic world, the R&D world, the cultural world, and also to the youth market. So there were three pillars here, which came quite naturally to us, because we were able to start from a blank page in a way. We had no history. We were not linked to any of the big groups. We're not polluted by some corporate thinking in a way. We were not aware of all the complexities between the big players and so on. So we were quite naive in a way. And the next step was when we had put together that vision in a paragraph, we realized that if we wanted to be in Geneva at the same time that Watches and Wonders, we needed to ask to tell them about our projects, in a way, ask them their permission. Okay, that's our vision. We want to piggyback on your event at the same time in Geneva. And the least thing we can do is to inform you about it and ask for, your thinking and your reaction and so on. And at the time, we didn't even have a venue. Okay, we had the brand name. We had not much in our favor except this paragraph which described the concept. And to our surprise, 2 months later, we got a letter from the FHH, and on which Rolex was copied, was CC, because I had sent the letter to FHH on one side and to the head CEO of Rolex. So I sent the two letters at the same time, telling them obviously that I was sending each of them a letter. And to our surprise, 2 months later, we got an answer saying that they believed in they understood the market gap, that we were fulfilling a need, and therefore they will support our endeavor. And and they were at our disposal to discuss and cooperate. They didn't say in any way they could, because obviously you're talking about Goliath on one side and a small size P on the other side with little credentials. But we got that letter, and with that letter we were then able to find a venue. And a venue which had some meaning, had some symbolism, because we wanted that venue to reflect our positioning. And that's how we came to knock at the door of this University of Art and Design in Geneva called HED Genève. Mm-hmm. And so that's, so you have on one side the vision, which I described to you, understanding why Baselworld failed in some way to sustain its model. How we interpret this failure and how we reacted to it, same concept for everyone, a place to exchange content, and price as limited as possible. Then we got the agreement from FHH and Rolex, and then we found that venue. And I didn't really answer your question about positioning in terms of which brand are we trying to attract. But obviously, it was very clear from the beginning that Watches and Wonders were going to, even though they opened the door to Rolex and Tudor and Chopard and Patek, they were not going to open the door. They were not going to be Baselworld 2, in Geneva. Because the reason they left, all these guys left Baselworld is because they wanted to recreate a more exclusive environment, more in line with their brand DNA and so on. So they didn't want to be with everybody. So it was clear that they want to close the door to a lot of people. So we wanted to align ourselves with the history of Geneva in mechanical watchmaking. Okay, so that was very important. We wanted to be, we wanted to participate to the future rendezvous of the watchmaking, the mechanical watchmaking in Geneva. So therefore, we position ourselves as the as an event able to welcome all the independent mechanical brands which were not allowed or for whatever reasons at Watches and Wonders. So that was the positioning, and with that we put together a CRM of 150 brands from Switzerland and abroad, without any restriction, but they had to be independent, mechanical base, and as creative and innovative as possible. Because when we went to the school, to the head Geneva, head Geneva is the only university in Switzerland which organizes a bachelor and master's in watch design. And obviously they don't want to welcome anybody. Okay, so they had some kind of a criteria, and they said, okay, we'd be happy to organize with you, to partner with you in the organization of this of Time to Watches, but we don't want to be the receptacle for every single brand. Okay, you have to set some boundaries. You have to get some kind of to structure the perimeter of brands. You have to we can go from in terms of price points, we can't go from 100 francs to 200,000 francs. Okay, so we have to have some kind of a logic in the perimeter. So that's why we put together this selection committee.
Two questions are coming immediately after your statement. First, still in Watch and Wonders, there are some, exactly as you mentioned, independent, creative, small companies which are joining Watch and Wonders. So that's interesting how, just to say, as an example, when I saw the Chrono Suisse, for instance, or Louis Erard into your exhibition, I know exactly what was behind, because I know very well both people involved in the two companies. So I know exactly. But then when I see that, I don't know, Grunefeld brothers are going to Watch and Wonders and they are not coming to you, it's a bit confusing. So I was wondering, how is the situation? Why some independent watchmaking small companies might go to Watch and Wonders and some others will go to you? I mean, if you have any.
Well, I mean, well, first you have to understand, I'm sure you know that 2022 is a transition year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we all know here, all the observers and actors, they know that the tectonic plate have not finished to move. Okay. So there will be more to the story after April 2022. This is true for Watches and Wonders, and obviously this is true for us. Originally, SIHH, of course, sure you know that, it's the Richemont brands plus the Carré des Horlogers, brands who are invited by the SIHH, okay? Non-Richemont brands who are invited by the, because there is a dynamic between the big brands of Richemont, the big players, and the small, extremely upscale, extremely creative, because the big ones nourish themselves on the creativity on the small ones, and conversely. The small one on the ability to attract the small one, they fit themselves on the ability of the big ones to attract worldwide media and interest and so on. So that was the model of the SIHH. But when Rolex and Patek come, that model is being, is under a pressure. So they have So they have invited the LVMH brands, the 3 LVMH brands who are now in Watches and Wonders. You have Grand Seiko, and obviously in the Carré des Horlogers you have more brands. But some of the brands which were invited the last edition 2019, they have decided not to come. So there's a lot of movement in the Carré des Horlogers. The people they've come and gone, and for example Trilobe, the French brand Trilobe, they had already they wanted to come to us. We had great relationship, and they said we really believe in your project. We're so happy for that opportunity. So they were, but then they were, to their surprise, they have been invited by Watches and Wonders to join the Carré des Horlogers. Okay, so it's not a fluid situation. We have some brands like Beauvais, Nomos, Urwerk, Crivia, Clairet. You have lots of independent watchmaking brands, MBF, for example, who have decided, who either they were not invited, or if they were invited, they have decided not to come for whatever reasons. So it is very, and still most of these brands, they've decided not to come to our place as well, to our event as well. So people are very much on the wait and see, because things have not finished to evolve and to move, and so the picture is still being drawn right now. I don't know if it helps, but the situation is very fluid. It's very fluid right now. But now if you look at it, the options, either you're invited to go to Watches and Wonders, and you're willing to pay the price, which is really high, or you decide not to go to Watches and Wonders. And if you decide not to go to Watches and Wonders, there are two solutions. Either you find an individual solution in a hotel suite, or you rent for one day a big space, and you make a big trade event with your VIP, the media, and so on. So that the brands which have a lot of means, they're able to organize a great event solely with on the basis of the strength of their brands. But a lot of brands they don't have the strength to attract the media and the trade and the distribution on the pure strength of their brand. So they have to have a more global solution. So they come to us. One thing also, of course, so you should know that, but MBF, they have their own gallery, they have their own point of sale. So the sales pipeline is full for the next 3 years. So now it's just a question of respond to the demand. So that you have a lot of these high scale brands who have a problem of the riches, how to fulfill the expectations, because the sales are sky high. So
as you mentioned, MBF, which was always in Watch and Wonders, but you also mentioned Beauvais. Beauvais was last year in Geneva Watch Days, so probably they will keep participating to the Geneva Watch Days. And also, I will add that to this tectonic plate, as you mentioned, I will add the Breitling, which is famous by saying we will do our own events, whatever is the name of the events, but still they participate to Geneva Watch Days, and they are very happy with. So
they came to us, Breitling. They came to us. We spent almost 2 months talking. They didn't want to be a regular exhibitor in Time to Watches. They wanted something, but they wanted to be based in there was a tug of war internally, but at the end they decided not to come to us. But they really consider very seriously to come to us, not as a regular exhibitor, but they wanted to tag along to our event. In some ways, I mean, there's no need to describe now, but at the end they decided to do it on their own. So they will be present during the Geneva Watch Week in early April. Probably going to rent a big space and organize like a 2 days event with a media, the people, the distribution, VIPs, and so on. MBF is I don't even know if they're going to be in the hotels by the lakesides. Grebel-Forcet, we were not able to get them interested, but they're not going to Watches and Wonders. And Beauvais is still talking to us. They still haven't made a final decision on what to do. So we're a newcomer, and we have the plus and minuses of a newcomer.
Absolutely.
People are curious and they're intrigued, and but also we're a non-tested brand. So some people are reluctant to, they want to wait and see. So
understood. I said I have already 2 questions coming from your speeches. That one with Beauvais, MBF was just coming to the latest. But the second question is about the location. Why you didn't, or maybe you did, think to be also in Palexpo? Because logistically speaking, and I can tell you, starting with me, it will be extremely difficult. And I know Geneva quite well in terms of streets and possibilities to commute and everything. It will be quite complicated, quite difficult to go out of Palexpo, to come to your exhibition center, and then to go back, because it's, as I said, it's exactly in the same time. And if it will be in Palexpo, obviously it will be much more easier for everybody to move from one place to other place, being in the same place. Of course, not under the same, how I can call it, to be under the same roof, but not exactly in the same place. Palexpo is huge anyway, so it was place enough for everybody.
Okay, the space-wise, definitely, Palexpo could have welcomed a lot more players, a lot more brands, except that Richemont, or FHH, I don't know who's the legal entity, has an exclusive agreement to all the watch events at Palexpo every year. It's part of a deal. Every time you sign an agreement with a venue, everyone expects that clause to be included in the contract. Okay, so and this is way above my pay grade. But when Richemont, when Rolex, Patek, Chopard, Chanel, Tudor decided to leave Watches Baselworld, they already knew that they were going to be accepted at Palexpo, and they were going to be an exception to that exclusivity role. So Richemont, in effect, has invited the 5 players I just mentioned to join them, but that's where they draw the line. Well, they invited also Taguière, Hublot, Grand Seiko, and so on. Out of the, then they draw the line. So out of the, you better check on the square meters, but I think there is 120,000 square meters at, or 130,000 square meters at Palexpo, more or less. And Watches and Wonders, we is going to use only 70,000. So there's at least 50,000 square meters at Palexpo, which are going to be unused. They're going to put the truck in there. I mean, I don't know, but they are unused. So we could have very well organized in terms of space and capacity. We would have been able to organize not on 2,000 square meters at the head, but on 5 or 10,000 square meters at Palexpo. Except that we were not invited, and no one has been invited except the 3 LVMH brands, Grand Seiko, and the 5 Rolex, Patek, Chopard, and so on.
Understood. But here is the key. Did you try, since you have an agreement with Watch and Wonders, which is including Rolex? So you have this agreement with FHH. Did you try to do these explanations to the FHH board or president or whatever? Because to me, it's not clear who is running now the FHH after Fabien Lupo was dismissed.
It's Perrin. It's Perrin, Emmanuel Perrin, and he has a CEO, Mathieu Humer. And my CEO is the one I'm dealing with. I'm talking to him.
Did you try to discuss with them to be accepted with this expo or not?
No, because when you don't exist, when you are a small P and you're talking to Goliath, you understand. You speak French a bit?
Just a little bit, yes.
Les rapports de force, okay?
Yeah.
When a big trucker guy talks to a very short guy, the short guy always listens to the big guy, or he doesn't even dare to ask the question. So when it was time to when you don't exist and you don't have a history, you don't have a background, you don't have a track record of successes, there is no need to ask that question. Maybe next year, maybe 2 years down the road. Maybe now that we have a 3 years partnership with Head Geneva. Head Geneva is a very respected institution, and Head Geneva has a great relationship with Rolex and the Fondation Wildorf. And so it's a measure of our credibility. But we first have to establish that credibility by getting our first edition right, maybe a second, maybe a third. We'll see. As I said, the tectonic plate have not finished to move. But yes, it would make sense to use all the square meters and to have everyone on. There's different hall, just like Basel. Even Palexpo. I mean, there's one on each side of the highway. So you could have 2 physical events at the same location, but organized organized totally differently with two entrants, and so it's feasible, absolutely. But we'll see what the future brings.
How do you plan, if there is any plan, to help the transfer between the 2 expos for people who are interested? Because that could be helpful if you plan this.
Sure. Thanks God you asked me that question again, because one of the discussion with FHH was to organize a shuttle service between Palexpo and Time to Watches. And they said it's going to be difficult the first year. Okay. We had that discussion back in August, so it was like 8 months ago. Then it's going to be difficult the first year, and we said right away, but how about organizing a pickup point at the airport, which is like 10 minutes walk away from Palexpo, and they said no problem. It's really no problem. So we've been advertising that. You didn't see on the website, but it. So we will have a shuttle service between, if you look at on page 3 of our self brochure, and you'll see the lake. You can see the lake, the lakeside hotel, Palexpo and the airport.
Mhm.
At the time, we didn't dare put Watches and Wonders, but of course, everyone got the message. And Time to Watches. So it's like a 10-minute drive by shuttle from the airport, and then you have 10 minutes to walk to Palexpo and conversely. So obviously, it's a key question. We've also our opening hours are going to be at least an hour longer than Watches and Wonders. Watches and Wonders closes at 7:30 p.m. and we're going to be open until 8:30 p.m. And we'll have our third leg of conferences that time of the day between 7 and 8:30 p.m. We'll have our roundtables every night. So it will probably evolve into drinking and networking sessions afterwards. So we'll be fairly generous with the opening hours because it's in everyone's interest to make sure that people can commute from one place to another.
I will ask you now why you on purpose tried to be exactly in the same time with Watch and Wonders. Why not before Watch and Wonders or after Watch and Wonders, just to take whole attention to your exhibition?
Well, the whole concept was to create this rendezvous, this single watch week, the Geneva watch week. And the buzzword, when we were conceptualizing our project, the buzzword was among our friends, insiders, and the media we were talking to. We didn't know a lot of them then, but everybody said, following the end of Watches of Basel World, we need a one place, one period, one action. You know, is the Corneille principle of the drama. You know, the theater drama. Unité de temps, unité d'action, unité de lieu, and so we believed in that. And that's why we put together the only option was maybe to last a bit longer than Watches and Wonders. That was the only option. To do it before made no sense because we didn't have the brand strength to attract people on the basis of our own brand. And also what we learned is that most of the key media people, the influencers and the big trade, the distributors, they come very early in the Watches and Wonders. You know, Watches and Wonders is going to open on Wednesday, so a lot of people told us that all the very key people, key visitors, they're going to come probably on Tuesday. Special evening on Tuesday night, and then by maybe Friday, Saturday at the most, they're all gone back. Okay, so the key people front load the event, and so we decided then, okay, we're just going to be we're going to start a day later and finish 2 days earlier. It costs money to make the business model break even on 4 days. We could have extended 1 or 2 more days, but it costs more money. So it's also a question of making the business model work. Mm-hmm.
True. The downside of the model you choose is that all these people, the key people you mentioned, they will have no time and no possibilities in all these days to come to see you. It will be mission impossible, unless obviously some of your exhibitors will attract them and will, I don't know, incentive them somehow, because otherwise, you know, I am in this situation. I'm doing this job since many years. I'm doing myself a lot of things, but it will be mission impossible to come to see someone in your exhibition, which of course I will try to, but it will be very, very difficult. And a related question to this is, Watch and Wonders, they do something for the top media. They pay the hotel for some nights.
Not Rolex, not Rolex, not Patek, but the Richemont brands do that. Actually, yes.
To us as medias, we are not informed who is paying what. We know that the Watch and Wonders issued this invitation, and I know you're right. I know that it's actually Richemont tradition. And I have no idea if Rolex or Patek is paying or not.
No.
Probably not yet, but I am pretty sure both Rolex, Patek, Chanel will pay the bill, because that's simply fair compared to the others. I mean, you cannot take the advantage of many things and paying nothing. I mean, it's simply not acceptable. So I guess it will be for next year. Anyhow, did you thought anything like incentives for media, just to be sure that you will still have important media or I don't know, retailers to come?
No, we are startup. We finance the investment budget to create the event. My partner and I are out of our own pocket. We don't have any investors. And the business model is that we initiate the business model with a bit of money, and then we finance the development of the event with the invoices we are getting on a regular basis from the exhibiting brands. Okay, and so that's our model. And in that model, we don't have room to pay for to invite media. We rely on two things. First, the exhibiting brands. Obviously, it's their responsibility to attract. It's their co-responsibility to attract media and influencers, and of course, we help them to do that. And second is to build the Time to Watch Us brand as quickly as we can. This kind of interview helps develop our awareness and get people to understand our positioning, which we hope is meaningful to the market. So far, that's the return we are getting. So we rely on the exhibitors and our brand awareness, which is slowly building up. But right now we're not inviting media. We'll see how we could do that, but that would mean involving the exhibitors because there's no reasons why. Watches and Wonders is the emanation of a huge watch group, and we're just organizers of an event. We're not backed by anyone, so we're totally independent, and so we're in different situation. But we're spending money in putting together a cultural program of which some signification, and we will offer as much help as we can to the exhibiting brands.
If I may ask this, in terms of pricing to participate, I don't ask you necessarily precise figures, but compared with Watch and Wonders, it's let's say cheaper 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, just to have a positioning.
I have no idea. If you don't quote me,
yes.
If you don't quote me,
you are recorded.
Yes, but well, I have absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But if I'm sure it's not even 1 to 10. You know, I have no
it's
idea.
less. It's less.
No, okay. If you know, you know. Well,
I'm just asking. I guess it's less.
I don't think.
Okay.
I have no idea. The thing I can tell you is that when we set up our pricing, we took a very, very hard look of the last published pricing list of Basel World, or rather, to be more precise, Our Universe. You remember Our Universe? The ill-fated attempt to relaunch. So there was a published list of prices and so on. So we took a very hard look, and we decided to take that into account and to be more or less in line with that that pricing. Okay.
Understood.
But we have no idea how much Watches and Wonders ask his exhibitors. We have absolutely no idea.
But one thing is clear: it's cheaper to come to Time to Watches than to go to Watch and Wonders.
It's less expensive instead
Let's
of cheaper.
say, sorry, less expensive. Sorry, I know nobody likes the reality. To talk about cheap things, nobody likes it. It's less expensive. It's still premium, but less expensive.
Much less expensive. But they have only 38 brands, and hopefully, I mean, you know, the top 80% or 90%, 85% of the volume in volume and value will be at Watches and Wonders. So you know, so we compete in different category.
You mentioned already some companies you are discussing to attract. So which other companies are you talking to join eventually to join the Time to Watches?
The only one we can communicate about is the one which are mentioned on our press release, because they've signed the contract. Obviously, we have at least 40 more prospects in the pipelines at different stages. And as you know, we have, I mentioned this selection committee. So we've asked every brand interested in participating to Time to Watches to fill out the form to become a candidate. That candidacy is then submitted to the selection committee. It's either, most of the time, people understand, most of the time it's approved, but there's been some cases where it hasn't been approved. And then once they get the approval, we send them all the legal documents, the contracts, but more than that, privacy policy, the charter, and also the règlement. How do you say règlement?
The set of rules.
Regulations. Yeah, the regulations of the event, plus a contract. And we have a lot of contracts out there in the market, and some of them send it back to us very quickly. Some take their time because they're still waiting options and waiting for the last moment. So that's where we are now. So let's say that we have 30 brands and we did another 20. We're fairly confident we're gonna get 20, because we have at least more than twice that amount in the pipeline, in the sales pipeline right now. And that's actually what I was doing. That's why I was late, because I had to, and I'm sorry for that again. I apologize for ignoring you for 25 minutes. Dan, I'm going to have, unless you have another quick questions, I have.
Before I congratulate you for the initiative, I also noticed that you attracted Grand Prix de Rogerie, which was another surprising move.
Well, we obviously they were always on our target list, if you will. And once, yeah, we met them officially at the Dubai Watch Week. It was a very easy meeting, very let's collaborate, let's do something, absolutely, we believe in you, blah, blah, blah. And but once we, since they are not invited for some reasons, they will not participate to the Watches and Wonders. They didn't want to be a partner to us. They only accepted to be part of our cultural program. So they will intervene in the cultural program. But a lot of our brands, exhibiting brands, have been, have been on their lists, have been participated to the Grand Prix many times over. So so we're very happy that the Grand Prix is there. Absolutely, it's a key. So then, I mean, make the effort to come, because now we've established a relationship, you and me, and I will hold you to it. If you don't come, at least to spend half an hour at our place, and you send me, send me a mail or WhatsApp, and then I'll make sure that you and I will have a beer or something. It would be fun.
I also thank you for this opportunity.